Hello my friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Elaine. Today I wanted to talk about what I do with my tarot cards for my mental health. I've mentioned it a few times in some of my vlogs. I've mentioned it a good bit on my blog that I used tarot cards with journaling to work on my mental health. The first thing I want to say is that I'm not a therapist or anything like that, and I didn't seek the help of a therapist, so I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just telling you what I did that helped me. I don't want to give the impression that I think this is the solution to anything. First off, I want to make that clear that I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or anything like that. I have no knowledge of anything like that either. So I don't want to be or imply that I think this is a replacement. It's just an aid, something that I did that I found helped me a lot. It may help you as well. I've written a post on my blog going into like more, not exactly more detail, but probably easier to follow, because I find it's easier to write than it is to speak. So I just wanted to do a video along with it to talk about it, and I don't want to just read out the blog post because I'm not giving a speech and I'm not doing like a TED talk. This is kind of to have a conversation. So first off, I love my tarot cards. I use the Rider-Waite deck. I think is how you pronounce it actually. This is the trouble with being a reader. I always read things before I hear them and I very frequently pronounce things wrong. So I use the Rider-Waite deck and I absolutely love it. I have it a good few years now. I don't even know how long I have it. It might sound weird, but I feel like a connection to them, kind of in the way you feel a connection to anything that is, I was going to say precious, but that's just going Lord of the Rings direction that I don't want to go down. But anything with sentimental value, the way, that kind of a way. I love how they feel in my hands when I'm shuffling them. I like to, when I'm doing a reading, I like to close my eyes and think about what it is I want to communicate to the cards. I sound so woo-woo, but that's what I do, and shuffle, and it just puts me into this kind of a flow state, or this like a meditative kind of a state where it just brings me down, blocks out what's around me. So while I'm shuffling, and that is, they say that you should have some sort of an opening ritual or something like that when you're doing your tarot cards. So I guess that would be mine. It's not something I consciously thought of doing, it's just the way that I do it. And yeah, I feel they feel really good in my hands when I'm shuffling them. So that might be something that helps. I don't know, but it's a bit of a ritual to kind of open what I'm about to do, which is journaling. So I use the cards as an aid for journaling, and starting in this way, this motion and this settling, it really puts me into like a mental state ready for introspection, and not exactly analysis, but for looking at things, which I suppose is analysis, but that sounds very analytical. But it puts me into a state where I'm ready to focus on things that go around in my head. Like journaling can be painful. You're looking at things that cause you anxiety, stress, sadness, whatever it is. Journaling opens up that, and it can be really difficult to look directly at those things. So I started using the tarot cards as a way of prompting me to look at things from a different angle. They like give me a new perspective to approach something that is playing on my mind, and it made it easier to like work my way around something to eventually approach it directly. Like I like go sideways around something. The type of questions then that I would ask would be, what do I need to understand about something, or what am I not seeing clearly about something? And a big one for me is asking about my jaw clenching, because I clench my jaw a lot, especially in my sleep, and sometimes I wake up with lockjaw because I've been clenching my jaw so much. So I would often ask about like, what is causing me to clench my jaw today? I pretty much always get the same thing. But it's important not to think of the tarot cards as trying to predict the future, because obviously that they're not going to predict the future. Future doesn't work that way. It can't be predicted, and the tarot cards don't work that way. They're not going to tell you the future. I think of them as like reading the vibes around something, and really it's about what they, well, at least in this case, using them for journaling, the way I was using them is they read the vibes around something, and then they work as like a trigger to develop my thoughts on something and help me kind of peel back layers so that I could see things more clearly, because your mind totally lies to you. So I'd ask questions like that. What is the energy surrounding something? What am I not seeing clearly? What do I need to understand about my reaction to something? Questions along those lines. And then I would use Claude AI to interpret the cards. So this is the thing I know people will dislike. But I did this because with using the AI, instead of like, I have a book and I could use, like, there's loads of websites that interpret tarot cards for you. I found all of that just so generalized, and a lot of them seem to be, well, not a lot of them, but some of them seem to be trying to predict the future, which I said a minute ago is just nonsense. A lot of them are kind of geared in that direction, and very, very generalized interpretations of the cards. So you need an interpretation based on what you're asking. So that's what Claude did for me. It was able to, like, I would say, what does this card mean in response or in relation to this question, this topic? So it would give me what the card means in regard to that, to what my question was, which I found very, very useful. Because if I asked something and I drew a card like the Devil or the Tower, that would just send me off in a spiral. Like, it would give me more anxiety because I wouldn't fully understand the card or what it was supposed to be saying in relation to my question. So instead of going down that route of not having a full grasp of what was going on or what they were, you know, what the cards meant, I decided to use an AI to interpret them, and it was unbelievably helpful. So helpful. And then once I had that, I would journal. So I started the journaling last year, just writing. I just started, like, I got the journals because I knew I wanted to try this. I had so much going on inside my head. I had to get it out. So I got the journals, a pack of 6 little notepads. They're really cheap on Amazon. Floppy, not much going on to them at all. And I just started writing. I just picked up a pen and I wrote down the day, the date, and what the weather was like. Just started, like, described my environment, what the cats were doing. Just started writing, and eventually I started writing more and getting more into like what was in my head and stuff like that. I actually started journaling then, but it took time. It took a little while, not too long, because once, I think the thing is, you have to start and want to continue. You don't have to like understand anything, you just have to have that want to do it. I reached a point with the journaling where, like, I was going like kind of deeper and deeper the whole time, and it was just getting more and more kind of raw, and I was thinking of so much stuff that it was starting to feel a little confusing. Like, I wasn't sure what direction I was going in, and I wanted like some guidance, something just to help me follow a direction of what to focus on. Sometime I started using the tarot cards to do that, and I really got into the nitty gritty of things then. Using the tarot cards helped me like refine myself, where I was journaling, what I was thinking about, the things that I wanted to work on that I just couldn't look at directly on my own. Like, I needed just a little nudge in certain directions, and they helped me do that. And I am not saying that I am better or healed in any way. I don't really think that's a thing. I think you get better, but it's not possible, or at least I don't think it's possible, for anxiety to like disappear, because it's a part of life. You're always going to react to things, and there's always going to be things happening because life is just constantly changing and it's constantly throwing things at you. Doing this now at this stage after a year, it has taught me how to not exactly manage my reactions, but understand my reactions, like why I react in certain ways to things. When the reaction is like not exactly warranted, but when the reaction is at the same level as what has happened, or when I'm going off spiraling in some strange direction. It's taught me to recognize those things and to spot my triggers, the things like from my past that I've been dragging along with me. It's taught me to see them when they pop up again. Mental health is a journey. Using the word journey sounds so influencer-y, but it is a journey because it doesn't stop. You're just going along, working on it pretty much the whole time. At some point during all of this, I started to imagine it as like a country road here in Ireland, where it's like the road is narrow, it's very twisty turny, it can be scary, especially if you meet a car coming in the opposite direction, because there's not always room for two cars on these roads. So that's the way I visualized it as I was going along. There's all these twists and turns. Like sometimes things are going really well, sometimes they're going not so well. I'm going along on this journey and the scenery is always lovely, even when things aren't going so well. When there's a rough patch, the scenery is still beautiful, and there's always another corner to turn, there's another bend, there's something coming around the bend. It may be something unexpected. Driving along our road, we sometimes see lovely wildlife. You can get beautiful views. Sometimes the weather is spectacular. You can see so far ahead. And other times it's raining so hard you can barely see the road in front of you. So it is a journey. And it's always changing, but for the most part, everything is fine and you just keep going. I don't think this would be for everyone doing it the way I did it with tarot cards and journaling. I think even one or the other wouldn't be for everyone. Like I know my husband has no interest in either thing, even though he's seen how much of an effect it has had on me. And it is work. It's not easy to journal, to look at yourself in this way, to focus on the things that cause you hurt. It's not easy, but it is worth the work, but you have to want to do the work. And so I would highly recommend journaling. And I would recommend it if you are into it. I know an awful lot of people wouldn't be into tarot cards, but I do recommend them, even if you don't, go for all the woo-woo stuff. They are very good as prompts. They work very well. And I especially found it useful using Claude to, or it is Claude, I think it's pronounced Claude, to interpret them for me. You could use ChatGPT, I guess, as well, but I prefer Claude. ChatGPT tends to, I don't know, I don't like ChatGPT. It tends to run away with itself. So I would usually ask like one question, what's the energy surrounding this? And I might ask one or two follow-up questions based on what it says back to me. And while I'm journaling, other things will come up and I might ask one or two more. But I have gotten caught in the trap before of just keep asking questions, and then the more you journal, the more exposed and raw you feel. You can get quite emotional, not always. There's a temptation then to use them for reassurance, for that everything is going to be okay. But I think and I've fallen into this trap many times, and I think it's important to try and avoid it, but we're only human. I have found the best way for me to come back after it, or just for some soothing after journaling, is to do something creative, like painting or something like that. Gaming actually is so good. Wholesome gaming. Love wholesome games. So something like Stardew Valley, Planet Zoo, those are great. I really love to do those after journaling. Reading does not work well for me after it, because I think it just keeps my brain spinning around things. And same with TV. That's no good. I have to do something. I have to use my hands and some form of creative expression. It could be cooking, actually. Cooking is great as well. I found those work really well. It's just to do something. It doesn't have to be like a creative thing. It just has to be something that gives you this feeling of not exactly joy. It's more of like a contentment, this feeling of ease is ease the right word? This feeling of like, that's better. Like you're coming back to yourself. So that is how I use my tarot cards with my journals for my mental health. That is what I've been doing for the past year or so, and it has helped me so much. I'm so glad to past me for deciding to do this. I was in a dark place for a long time, and like a lot about me changed. Like I didn't fully know myself anymore, and I think I did a fairly good job at keeping it hidden from other people, except for maybe my husband. But I feel more like myself than I have in years now. So like I said before, not a therapist. I'm not trying to tell anyone that this is the answer to your anxieties or anything like that. If you feel you need to speak to someone, then you should speak to someone. I'm just letting you know that this is something that I tried and it worked well, and it might be something that you find helpful as well, but it may not. It could even make things worse. I don't know. Hopefully not. It could be the first stepping stone into getting further help as well, if that's what you need. I just hope that this video was helpful. It might be useful in some way. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.